Hello guys, how's it going? Jeffrey here. Today we're talking about a book that a lot of you have probably heard of or have read, either for school or on your own, because it's a pretty famous and I think important piece of work. It's Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and I really like this book. It was written in the 1950s, but perhaps it's more relevant than ever today. And that's the power of science fiction, right? Because science fiction, what it does, when people think about science fiction, usually it's just, oh, Star Wars, Star Trek, you know, people fighting, violence. That's one type of science fiction. But science fiction, I think in general, it's about writing about the future, predicting the future, what's going to happen in the future. And, science fiction authors give us a glance of what they think will happen in the future through their literary works, like Fahrenheit 451. And having an idea about the future is actually more important than you guys might think because, we can't just live for a lot of people, can't just live everyday life like it is. You want to think about, predict what's going to happen in the future, whether it's good or bad, and try to work toward the good one rather than only focus on the present, tunnel vision on the present without having an idea of the future, right? If you want to build a good and promising future, you have to at least have an idea of what you want it to look like before you can start making progress toward it. And that's a very hard thing to do. And science fiction authors and science fiction works give us a glimpse of what might happen in the future if things have gone wrong in this case. And the reason why I said it's more, and this book is a good example of what I just said, because the reason why I say it's more relevant than ever today, and a lot of people think this book is very ahead of its time, is because spoil alert if you haven't read the book. But basically, the premise of the book is that the main character is a fireman, and his job is not to put out fire, but to burn books. And why do people burn books? Is because something happened in this world that they're living in where things got progressively things or content that people are consuming got progressively shorter and shorter, and people's brain and attention span started processing things that are shorter and faster. Like the example they gave is like the billboard on the side of the road got gradually smaller and smaller because people aren't reading it and cars are driving fast. And that's I think very relevant to what we're seeing happening in our world today. Because think about the content that we're consuming right now compared to even pre-COVID. I remember pre-COVID, I at least would sit down and watch a full-length YouTube video. But now, a lot of the time before bed, it's just gonna scroll through some Instagram Reels, scroll through some TikTok. And eventually what happened in the book is that they said the content that people are consuming got so short and so small that the minority of people that are actually reading books are viewed as dangerous because they just know so many things than the rest of the people who are just, consuming very short and small content. So eventually they're like, okay, to create an even playing field, nobody gets to read. Everyone is going to be dumb. And so that's sort of the set of the book, and that's what the main character realized and wanted to protest against because he started reading. He's like, wait, there's actually a lot of information to learn. And think about what's happening in our world today with the short form content that we're watching. Even if you look at how movies are made these days, if you look at movies made in the 70s and 80s, you'll see a full scene where it's just a group of people having a conversation. If you're watching any Scorsese movies, or The Godfather, you'll see just people sitting at a desk just talking with each other for 3, 4, 5 minutes. But if something like that ever happens in today's movie, nobody's gonna watch it. Nothing's happening. They're just talking. There's no actions. There's nothing to keep me in loop. And this book kind of perfectly predicted that. And the content that we're consuming today, like the YouTube videos, now they have a 2 times speed on quick access. You can just press down space. I love that feature. It's bad, but I love it. And also, just like I feel like less and less people are actually reading, and people are sort of getting their information off of social media, which is another very dangerous thing, because if you're getting your information on social media, you're not getting any context. It's just like, oh, this is what happened. But you know, what happened is one thing, but oftentimes why it happened is what truly matters. You know, you're getting your things off. One thing, getting your things off of social media, it could be fake, because it's so easy to post something on social media. It's not like writing a full length like report on Wall Street Journal or on the New York Times, right? You can just fake anything on social media, and it'll be very easy. And it's not, you know, from a credible source if you're getting your news from social media either. And also, the stuff that you're consuming are so short, you're often just getting a glance of what actually happened. And sometimes the glance that they're giving you is actually just such a small part. And that's why social media is so powerful, because it can make you think that you know what's happening without actually letting you know what's actually happening. And that's why it's very brainwashing, right? That's why maybe, you know, there's this talk of banning TikTok, because it's so easy to make people think a certain way just by providing them fragments of information to brainwash them. And this book really made me think a lot about that. And I believe it should be continued to taught in school, because it should make people realize that consuming those short brain rot content is actually bad for society. And if everybody just like are having conversation based off of this fragmented information, nobody's actually having conversation about why stuff happens. And everyone, the information that everyone has are just so small that like nobody's really discussing what's actually happening. And the people who want you to think what's actually happening are posting stuff on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, are giving you fake news. And it's just a really good wake-up call, this good book. And it's also a really good story. Really good writing, obviously. Ray Bradbury is a very good writer. So, yeah, if you have the time, please go read this book. I promise you'll like it. I really enjoyed it myself. Yeah, if you ever do read it, comment down below. Let me know what you think, and see you in the next video.